We can't change the world overnight, but in a way, in our own small way, we kind of can.
Anyway, we're nearly there now, so I'll talk to you when we get to the studio and we'll have a little coffee.
Sky's beautiful and so are you. I wanna make it up to you, start something new. Yeah, I've been thinking of
So here we are. Windows are all open because it's going to be hot today, so you might be able to hear some noise from the road, so I'm sorry about that. I want to keep the room cool, and it's really possible to keep this room cool because it doesn't get sunburnt windows, if you like. So in the other room, there was just sun on those windows the whole time. It was like a greenhouse. And also it's hot, and also there is somebody out there who keeps strimming. So that makes a racket as well. So I might not be able to talk to you because it might just, there we go, there's the strimming guy. So before it gets too noisy, cheers to you, and let's have a morning drink together, shall we? We'll wait and see what today unfolds. James messaged me this morning and he said, let's see what the universe has got in store for us today. We totes got this. So yeah, life's feeling like a bit of a crazy storm. I'm not going to say the word, but it's just the way it is right now. And I know I'm not the only one to be feeling it. It feels a bit crazy. And all the little things are feeling like big, colossal mountains that are almost unclimbable sometimes. And I, for one, and I noticed this in the comments last week as well, where I'd mentioned last week about menopause, what James and I actually like to call my penimause. And so I'm going through this process of perimenopause and, you know, obviously coming up to menopause with that process. And so things change. And I suppose I hesitate talking about this on here. I don't know whether it's like, it feels too personal for me, maybe. Although from the comments last week, I think it's a useful topic because I don't think it's talked about enough. Yeah, and after reading your comments last week on the video, there were so many comments on last week's video. So thank you so much for those. I haven't got around to answering loads of them, but I have read a load of comments. I don't know if I've read all of them, but there were quite a few about the mention of menopause, some from people that were going through it, some from people that were the other side and were saying that, you know, life is easier and calmer afterwards. What I like to think about entering is a second spring, and which is, you know, what some people call it. And it's quite plain to see that that maybe it's something that's not talked about enough. And is that because it feels a bit taboo, or is it because it feels a bit personal? I'm not really sure. Yeah, maybe I should open up a bit more about that. And I can certainly share any remedies or things that have been working for me, or, you know, any struggles. But I think anyone that watches my videos, and I know the majority of you are women, and so if you're not a woman, maybe it's helpful to hear about it as well, you know, because you might know a woman in your life that's going through it, or no matter what age you are as well, whether you've come the other side or whether you're brewing towards it or whether you are younger and it's something that's going to be, you know, on your horizon for later on, or maybe you've got older females in your life that are going through it. It helps us all understand that process, doesn't it, of life cycles and portals and, you know, crossing those thresholds and rites of passage that naturally occur that we don't celebrate and recognise and acknowledge in the way perhaps in the olden days, in the olden ways that we did. So yeah. Sorry if you can hear rattling as well. It's my peace mobile, so it's giving us some peace. So it's a good thing. Anyway, those are my thoughts on that. So I really appreciated those comments. Thank you. So suffice to say that my studio is still, let's see if I can show you, a bit of a pickle. I'll give you a kind of like a little look round. Is that a better view? Probably. And then over there as well. I did have a little clear up, so it's definitely helped, and I'd quite like to, let's just put you down again, hang on. So I'd quite like to do some tidying of surfaces. So, you know, the real expensive real estate in here of the tables, basically. So the Oval Office and the art journaling table I would like to address. So maybe I'll get to that today, but it's an art making day today, so that takes the priority. And the other thing to mention, apart from all the, you know, lady hormones stuff and the fact that life's feeling really crazy and bumpy, and yeah, the little things are kind of medium things are going a little bit bonkers at the minute, and everything feels 1,000-fold more intense because of menopause, penimause, banging out there, sorry. If I stop filming every time there's a noise though, I literally would never get a video out because there's always going to be noise around. It's quite a noisy building anyway, and I quite like that in a sense because it's good for me to come out, so it's kind of quite a good buzz in a way, if you know what I mean. Anyway, sorry if it's disruptive. And I'm going to have a cup of tea now and then just sort of set up my watercolours, I think, because it's painting time basically. So the other thing to mention here as well, which is different, which is going on for me, is the fact that James is away working. And so last week and this week, I've been left alone. And I miss him. I miss him a lot. He's my partner in crime, and he's the person, you know, that I will go to on a day-by-day basis and check in and, you know, travel the roller coaster with, if you like. And it's not that he's not there, because obviously I can message him and we talk on the phone, but yeah, it's different not having him around so much. So yeah, it's just different, and I'm completely fine on my own, and I'm really enjoying coming in earlier in the day as well. So I get in really, really early in the morning, usually around sort of 8:15 I'm in the studio, and yeah, just not fighting the neighbours anymore on the noisy neighbours wake me up, and instead of trying to get back to sleep, you know, the days are so bright now. We've just had the solstice, and so yeah, I think the strimmer man's back, so I might need to disappear for a bit because I think that is a little bit disruptive than the odd bang. But yeah, at least we've had this little chat. So it's actually the next day now, because I didn't vlog last night at all. I got home and I was just so tired, really, really tired. So I've been painting this morning, and yeah, been working on, mainly on her face actually. So just creating a little bit more drama and trying not to overwork her, testing out my new watercolours. So they are working out very nicely, and just doing some experiments with those. Yeah, I'm quite liking how she's turning out. I'm going to do a bit more before I go home, I think. Just really getting into that. And yeah, I was literally, just sitting on my daybed here, having a bit of lunch. and a little bit of a break. Good to have breaks. Remember to have breaks in between doing artwork. Yeah, I was just reading some of the comments on the YouTube, and yeah, just thought I'd better put you down then, because I would probably wobble you too much. Yeah, we don't want that, do we? We don't want to be wobbled about a bit when we're feeling all chaotic and everything's a bit of a roller coaster. So I know from comments from yesterday, I put the gratitude post up on the Instagram. So my Instagram, I'll put somewhere up there. And I'm going to do a giveaway soon. So if you're not following me on Instagram, head over there and have a look for that, because yeah, I'm going to do quite a nice little giveaway on there. Because a few months ago, I had to restart my Instagram because I had this situation of cloning, and yeah, I got a fraudster basically. So I restarted. So I just wanted to say a big thank you to people on there. So I'm going to do a big giveaway. So a little heads up of that. But yeah, just on the YouTube comments, and quite a few people are saying it's a breath of fresh air to hear someone actually acknowledging menopause. And it's so true, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know why that is, you know, why it seems to be that, you know, people aren't talking about it and stuff. But I was thinking, you know, it's a little bit like going through puberty and the chaos of that, except in reverse. And so yeah, if someone you know is going through, or you are, or it rings familiar because it's someone that's close to you, and yeah, you can see that they're struggling, it's a very interesting process. And I think a lot of it is not talked about. Not entirely sure why it you know, perhaps feels a bit taboo. Sometimes, yeah, it's tricky to share the intimate stuff, if you like, because it's personal, and, you know, that may be unique to me, I don't know, but I'm feeling like we need to talk about it more. So do comment if you know someone, or if you're indeed going through a similar thing around your late 40s, 50s, or indeed any age, because it can happen earlier or later, as we know, and sometimes medically induced as well, which is, again, you know, a whole other can of worms to open. And it is a life cycle process, so it's not something we have any control over, is it? So I think a lot of the judgment perhaps of a menopausal woman, oh, she's that at that age kind of thing, I think some of that still does hang in the air, doesn't it? Where, you know, it's very easy to judge, oh well, she's going through that funny time or something like that. But yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm going a bit crazy, and you know, it's this intensity of everything, 1,000-fold intensity. It's not just a small intensity, it's massively intensified. Everything feels under that magnifying glass, you know, emotions going crazy and stuff, you know. And this is one of the reasons as well why it's almost 5 months now actually that I actually stopped drinking wine in the evenings. So I'm completely alcohol free now, which for me is a bit weird really, because I kind of do enjoy, and always have done, a nice glass of wine. But yeah, I was finding I was becoming too sensitive to it. And so, you know, that's another thing, numbing out emotions and having that time to wind down with, say, something like alcohol or any other kind of substance, you know, to numb, even food, for example. And so I think it's really important that, at least for some of the time anyway, that we don't do that and we allow our emotions to flow. And I think talking about this, you know, it can open that can of worms of stuff that perhaps we don't want to look at, can't it? I've been thinking about remedies, and also the things, maybe remedies that I use for, you know, getting round things and helping to support my system at this time, not just with the hormones and the menopause aspect of it, but because life in general for everybody has been and still is. And the last few weeks, month or so, has been a bit really intensified bonkers for me, and I'm feeling that from comments on Instagram and on the YouTube. Lots of people going through some big or middle to big stuff on such a regular basis, and it's just full on, no rests and respite in between. You know, you may think, oh, she looks tired today, but I am so tired today. So I've just turned you round so that I can read what's on my laptop. Amy's saying on here as well, yeah, really struggling with menopause, and yeah, totally. there's so many of us out there, isn't there? And I know we're all different. We all know that, don't we? And you know, I'm not trying to put my stuff on anyone else and make excuses or anything like that. But at the end of the day, if you think about your monthly cycles as well and how much that affects, it's pretty full on. I actually put on the Instagram this week. Yeah, so one of my gratitudes on there was about Warrior Wendy, and how even when the other parts of Wendy just want to hide away forever, Warrior Wendy does come out and hopefully do the courageous bit, the out there bit, if you like, the speaking the truth, the having the boundaries and stuff. And I've definitely been learning some new boundaries, or some reassertion of some boundaries, shall we say, the last few weeks. The other thing that I thought was quite funny was the last couple of days I have been thinking about, every time I leave my office to go out there, you know, there's a potential that something can happen. The cherry on the top of the cake that's just going to tip me over the edge, so I can kind of deal with the big stuff and the middle stuff and some of the smaller stuff, you know, even when it piles one thing on top of the other and it starts to feel really heavy. But then one more little thing will happen, won't it? And that'll just sort of tip the house of cards, will come tumbling down, and it'll cross that threshold of things feeling okay and manageable to things feeling really not manageable and really overwhelming. And so I've been really mindful when I'm going to leave the room and thinking, right, so maybe I need to go to the toilet or go nip to the kitchen or the car or something like that. But yeah, just having that moment, I think it's just creating that sort of inner feeling of safety. And that's the wonder and the blessing I have from having my own room. I'm so lucky to have this room, I really am. And yeah, absolutely love being in here. Shut the door. And I find as well, because of the L-shaped room and the feng shui of that, we've talked about all that, haven't we? And I love being in the nook. But if I lock the door, I don't mind, you know, having my back to the door or being indeed round the corner in the nook. So that helps a lot as well. And it's almost like I am consciously creating a safe cocoon, a safe haven wherever I go, even if I'm out there, if that makes sense. You know, I didn't want to end this video without talking about a few remedies for the discombobulation of life, whether that be, you know, hormones included, menopause included or not, just the discombobulation of life. You know, it can, I appreciate, open a can of worms, and there's a lot of people going through a lot of stuff, and it's incessant. It seems to be never ending, and then there's the next thing and the next thing, and I'm kind of at a point where I don't really get proper time to process that part before I'm on to the next thing, and it's just so fast, so full on. So I made a list, which is why I'm looking down, of some of my remedies. I just kind of mentally grabbed my favourite things for right now, and some of them are obvious, some of them I haven't mentioned before. The first thing is just, you know, zoom out. And so if you're not outside or able to get outside when everything's just feeling too much, I think looking out a window, that's what I've been doing, and just really zooming out, or trying to be the observer, pulling out, doing the Buddhist thing of observing yourself in that position, being on the eagle's perch, if you like, is how Pam Gregory, the astrologer, talks about it. Sitting on your eagle's perch and looking down, that's definitely a way I get back into perspective, and I can, yeah, take a deep breath and, yeah, come back into myself if things start to get a bit panicky. I think that's two remedies in one, really, isn't it? It's the zooming out thing and the nature thing is really good. And if you can get out for a good stomp, then that brings the three elements together. The other things I've been doing is I'm very into sort of herbal remedies. I often get people comment saying, have you tried the back flower remedies and things like that? I have tried those over the years. Sorry, big motorbike then. But the thing I'm finding really useful right now that actually works in the moment is reishi mushroom. And sometimes I make a hot tonic with like a hot chocolate with some reishi in, and then I add some agave nectar to make it sweet, because it's quite bitter to eat. But the way I really like to sort of take it is in a tincture, and it's an alcohol-free tincture that I get, and I just put a few drops under my tongue if I'm starting to feel
it's almost like an anxiety attack is coming on, or a panic attack or something like that's coming on, and it's feeling a bit much, and it's something I can actually have on me all the time, again, to create this sort of safety all around me all the time, which is really nice. So I recommend that. That may or may not work for you. Again, you know, we're all unique. And then the other thing I do, this one is for specifically for hormones, for menopause, and my hormonal balance is maca. So it's a Peruvian root, and I eat a lot of maca. It's really kind of oaty and earthy. It's very delicious. So I have maca. And then for more emotional, nervous system balance, I also take a tincture of St John's wort, and I have a few drops of that every day in some orange juice. So those are the sort of herbal remedies I'm finding are working really, really well at the moment. The other thing I do, which you'll know, especially if you're on the Instagram, is the gratitude and counting my blessings. So I like to try and keep in a place of joy, flip things around. If I have a perspective on something, can I flip it around, see it in another light? What are my gratitudes and blessings, even though things are really challenging? And I actually did my gratitudes and blessings post when I felt super challenged this week, so it was really authentically done. And then, you know, we can all lift each other's spirits, so by me reading the comments that you leave me later on as well, and again on the YouTube as well, it uplifts my spirits a lot, so I really appreciate those. Thank you very much. It's a circle of love, as I keep saying. I think there's many other peaceful kind of mindful practices, isn't there? And obviously, you know, my creativity and my journaling and my painting, watercolour painting today and yesterday has, you know, it's a really quiet, peaceful and meditative, therapeutic practice. So anything creative is, isn't it? Where you just lose yourself in that sort of slowing down and the joy of it. It creates a space within the day to slow down and then breathe. And yeah, breathing again is a lovely one. I love to stretch and do yoga and some breathing, so yeah, all that comes together. I love the way all these elements can come in together as well, so you can kind of tick 3 or 4 things that help you in one go. If we're having these big overwhelming situations that are almost like waves that are swallowing us up, it's really nice when we can combat it with a good few, if you think about it in sort of karate chops. We're doing a few karate chops of remedies in one chop, if you like. I know I'm bonkers. I know I am. I think as well, you know, creating the space to draw out the emotions and, you know, give them some stillness and sit with them, and don't necessarily let them wallow too long, but do let the motion in emotion move and flow through us, and give it that chance without trying to, you know, like we were saying, numbing out all the time. And sometimes it's nice to just switch off with a movie or a good book and stuff, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's good to have those times as well, but I think it's also good to have those times where we do sit with it, even if it's uncomfortable. I don't like to regurgitate the same old stuff though, because I find that keeps me stuck. So I like it to feel like it's flowing, like a little stream or a brook, and I can let it go at its own pace, but it's the same water is never going to return back again, if you like, and if the same issue arises, it's just a different layer of it or a different level that needs healing. So it's kind of going deeper, a deeper healing of the same issue, rather than regurgitating and reliving and recounting to someone else the same old thing over and over again. And I think it's good to share, but I think there's a difference with like offloading it and lightening up and processing than there is the regurgitation of the old stuff, if you know what I mean. It just kind of sticks to you then, doesn't it? And it becomes really difficult to shift. You'll have to let me know if you know what I mean by these things. But yeah, I do find it's important to have remedies and not just talk about how hard everything is all the time. I like to have something to counter it with. We have stress hormones and we have adrenaline and we have those in our body, and we have these chemicals and hormones for a reason. But at the same time, we have to let, like the emotions flow through us, we have to let those chemicals and hormones flow through us too, don't we? So we need to give them the space and time to do that. And you know, this is where going for a walk, legs up the wall pose, some dancing, you know, listening to our bodies and seeing if we can hear what they're asking for, what your body actually needs from you in that moment. But anyway, my camera died then, so I think it might be saying I might be going off on a tangent here, or a Wendy waffle. But I just wanted to have some thoughts about what kind of remedies and things, and maybe we can share our remedies for, you know, when we get into that really overwhelm, in a tumble, in a bit of a bad place, you know, what remedies do you do? We can maybe share those down below in the comments. It's always nice, isn't it, to have each other's comments down there, and we could try maybe some of each other's remedies, which will be really, really helpful. So let's share ideas if you've got any other thoughts, because I'm sure I've missed so many. And I think, to be honest, I've been talking long enough, and yeah, it's just all that emotional work. It's where the treasure is, isn't it? And that's why I journal, of course, and not everybody journals. Some people do different things, I know. So I look forward to reading your comments and yeah, seeing if you've got other ideas and other things you do to remedy the situation. Anyway, I'll leave you in peace for now. Thanks so much for watching. Try to keep your lights shining bright. And I know it's really easy. Lots of people have been saying to me recently, you know, that the world's too hard and the world's too stressful and everything's too depressing, and it's really hard to, you know, raise your vibration above that. But at the end of the day, it's not going to do any good to put any more doom on the already gloom. So let's try and keep our lights shining bright. And then, you know, somebody might see a little flicker coming from you, and it just helps, I think. I always find that when I have maybe a nice smile off someone, or a little moment with someone, or a little conversation. And so it just helps lift my spirits. Certainly, like maybe reading your comments and things like that. And so that's what we can do. We can't change the world overnight, but in a way, in our own small way, we kind of can. Anyway, I love you all to bits. I'm going now, and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah.